Friends on Jemm and Debs here.
It's uplifting story. We'll have to work on the jingle.
Yeah.
So this has come in.
Yeah, I was chatting to Andy. He messaged me on Facebook and then sent me this story. I thought, oh, this is quite nice, and quite a nice way to start on Monday, so I thought I'd bring it to you this morning. He says, it's a story he found online, I think. Anyway, he says, one day, when I was not long in secondary school, says the writer of this story, not Andy, I saw a kid from my class walking home from school. His name was Kyle. It looked like he was carrying all of his books. And I thought to myself, why would anyone bring home all of his books on a Friday? He must be a bit of a nerd, frankly. I had a quiet weekend planned, parties, a football match with my friends the next afternoon, so I shrugged my shoulders and went on. As I was walking, I saw a bunch of kids running toward Kyle. They ran right up to him, knocked all his books out of his arms, tripping him so he landed in the dirt. His glasses went flying and I saw them land in the grass about 10 feet in front of him.
I want to hug him.
Then he looked up and I saw his terrible sadness in his eyes. My heart went out to him. So I jogged over to him, and as he crawled around looking for his glasses, and I saw a tear in his eye, I handed him his glasses, which I by then found. I said, those guys are idiots. They really should get a life. He looked at me and said, hey, thanks. There was a big smile on his face. One of those smiles that showed great gratitude, really. I helped him pick up his books and asked him where he lived. As it turned out, he lived fairly near to where I was, so I asked him why I'd never seen him before. He said he'd gone to private school before now. I'd never hung out with a private school kid before. We talked all the way home and I carried his books for him. He turned out to be a pretty cool guy. I asked him if he wanted to play football on Saturday with me and my friends. He said yes. We hung out all weekend, and the more I got to know Kyle, the more I liked him, and my friends thought the same of him as well. Monday morning came, and there was Kyle with a huge stack of books again. I stopped him and said, flippin' heck, you're really going to build some serious muscle with this pile of books every day. He just laughed and handed me half the books. Over the next 4 years, Kyle and I became the best of friends. When we were in the 6th year, we began to think about college. Kyle decided on one in the north, and mine was right down in the far south of the country. I knew that we'd always be friends, that miles would never be a problem. He was going to be a doctor, and I was going to study business.
All the books. Makes sense, all the books.
Kyle was always top of our class when it came to tests and exams, and I used to tease him a bit all the time about being a bit of a nerd. Anyway, he had to prepare a speech for our graduation day. I was so glad it wasn't me having to get up there and speak. On graduation day itself, I saw Kyle. He looked great. He was one of those guys that really found himself during school through the years. He'd filled out and actually looked pretty good in his glasses. He had more girlfriends than me, and all the girls loved him. Sometimes, I don't mind admitting, I was a little bit jealous. Today was one of those days. I could see that he was nervous about his speech, so I patted him on the back and said, hey, big guy, you'll be great. He looked at me, one of those looks. Really
what do you mean, one of those looks, Neil? There's several looks you can give someone.
A really grateful look.
All right, like this?
Yeah. Well, maybe. Thanks, he said. As he started his speech, he cleared his throat and began. Graduation is a time to thank those who helped you make it through those tough years. Your parents, your teachers, your siblings, but mostly your friends. I'm here to tell you all that being a friend to someone is the best gift you can give them. I'm going to tell you a story. I just looked at my friend with disbelief as he told the story of the first day we met. He planned to kill himself.
Oh my God.
He talked of how he had cleaned out his locker with all his books so his mum wouldn't have to do it later, and was carrying them all home. He looked hard at me and gave me a little smile.
Oh my God.
Thankfully, I was saved, he said. My friend saved me from doing the unspeakable. I heard the gasp go through the crowd as this handsome, popular boy told us all about this weakest moment. I saw his mum and dad looking at me and smiling that same grateful smile. Not until that moment did I realise its depth. Never underestimate the power of your actions. With one small gesture, you can change a person's life, for better or for worse.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. What an incredible story.
You weren't expecting that, were you?
No, Neil. I'm going to have to sit down and be speechless for a while.
Yeah.
Wow.
She is speechless.
No, I am. What can you do with a story like that?
It's great, isn't it?
You know, words seem a bit, pointless.
Well, it's the tiniest little action you don't realise.
No,
intervene in somebody's life.
I think we'll move on, Neil.
If you'd like to share with the group, if you've got a coming out story or maybe an inspirational story like that, ndebs@jemm1.com is the email address here.